Hello everybody, I am Jmulls of Jmulls Gaming, and we have a little bit of Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition, feels so good to say that, news. Shout out to my Discord for bringing this to my attention, because apparently @MonolithNews on Twitter talked about something found on Nintendo.com, linked to this in the description down below. Pretty much, Nintendo has this Japanese magazine detailing the titles scheduled for release in 2025. One of those blurbs was about Xenoblade X Definitive Edition. Now it is translated, but it's translated on Nintendo.com, so take that as it lies, I guess. But here we go. On this planet where they have arrived, the stories of humanity intersect. The definitive edition of the open-world RPG Xenoblade Chronicles X, released for Wii U in 2015, shoutouts to them, is coming to Nintendo Switch. This title adds a brand new story, not found in the original Wii U game, bringing the adventures on the vast planet Mira to Nintendo Switch. Release date Thursday, March 20th, 2025. When they shadow dropped that trailer for Definitive Edition, just randomly, out of thin air, the description was worded in a very specific way, so I didn't want to read too much into it. It said, rebuild humanity and survive on the mysterious planet Mira in this open-world action RPG. This visually enhanced version includes newly added story elements and more. Based on that description, we weren't sure if that just meant a few extra quests here and there, or if we would get something in the style of, say, Future Connected for Xenoblade Chronicles 1 Definitive Edition. And if that blurb on Nintendo.com is to be believed, and it's not just a gross mistranslation error, this sounds as if we will get something in the style of, say, Future Connected, but for Xenoblade X Definitive Edition. That itself opens the floodgates in a lot of ways, because there's very many different angles that they can tackle this from. Because for those who don't know, Xenoblade X ends with a massive cliffhanger. Not just for one plot thread, but a whole bunch of them. And they can pick up any of these plot threads and really run with them. However, I'm going to address the one found in the trailer. So for here on out, I kinda have to talk about spoilers to theorycraft what this new story could possibly be. We're good? Okay, let's leap into it. The ending of the trailer has that scene with the Black Knight looking over Lao, who finds himself washed up on the beach at the end of Xenoblade X after we defeat him, and after he supposedly sacrifices himself. That is one of the big reveals at the end of the game, is that Lao is alive and there's this mysterious figure looking over him. But it's slightly different. In the trailer, we see the guy directly standing over him, but in Xenoblade X, we see him walking up to him, and then we see the shadow casting from that mysterious figure onto Lao. We don't get the shot that is found in the trailer, in-game at least. So I think the likely possibility is that they're going to pick at this plot thread with Lao specifically, and we might expand on who this mysterious Black Knight figure is, and the repercussions of Lao actually living. And in the trailer, this guy actually talks. He says, "Fancy seeing you here."
Fancy seeing you here.
And goes to remove his hood, which will almost certainly be a reveal in Definitive Edition. There's a lot of different angles they can tackle this with, because they could easily tie this plot thread to the other thread that the Lifehold had been offline throughout the entirety of Xenoblade X, and that there was something else, almost as if the planet itself was keeping humanity alive in the mimeosomes. Potentially this black-robed stranger could be tied into that element. However, from the dialogue in the trailer, it does seem that he is at least familiar with Lao and what happened to him. So, potentially, maybe he's a character that we've seen, maybe one of the other party members, or he's just a new character that happens to be related to Lao in some way, or he is someone who is simply cognizant of what happened in Xenoblade X. But with this blurb and seeing that part of the trailer, I am very much leaning in the direction that this new story will be a follow-up to Xenoblade X's story, and will almost certainly pertain to this black-robed stranger and Lao. Maybe it will be kind of similar to Future Connected in the way that Shulk wasn't the main character of Future Connected. The focal point was on Melia. And maybe they can shift the perspective away from your player character and Elma, more so towards Lao, and putting all the pieces back together again, or something in that way. Probably a Lao central story. And honestly, I'm just excited for whatever they do. I've been wanting a follow-up to Xenoblade X for a long time at this point. It was a story rife and just pretty much begging for a follow-up in some capacity that it just never got. And the idea that we might finally get that follow-up is cool to me. It's exciting to finally find out where this story is supposed to go. I'm a little bit hesitant because with all the plot threads that are there at the end of Xenoblade X, I want a proper follow-up and an entire sequel to really explore these themes and these ideas, especially when it concerns Mira and why everyone else is alive when the Lifehold is offline and was offline since before the beginning of the game. And I don't know if a Future Connected length experience can properly address all of that. But that might not be the purpose of this new story. It could just be, we're going to address this one singular element, and then maybe in the future we could get a Xenoblade Chronicles X2, and this new story, this Xenoblade X Future Connected, let's call it that for the time being, could be like this connecting tendon between Xenoblade X and whatever they want to do in the future. It could serve as a good jumping off point, essentially, in continuing the story of Xenoblade X. If they go in that direction, I'm all for that. I know there's quite a few people out there that didn't like Future Connected nearly as much as the other Xenoblade entries, and yeah, I get that because I kind of agree. However, I still really like what they did with Future Connected. When it came to Xenoblade 1, my biggest critique of that game was that I wanted more with Melia at the very end, but I got that with Future Connected, and I got exactly what I wanted with Melia there. And if they can do that here with, say, Lao, that could be golden. That could be so good. You see, there's something very rude that they have the possibility to do here. And if my theory is correct that this Future Connected for Xenoblade X serves as like this tendon between Xenoblade X and Xenoblade X2 some point in the distant future, what if they do it again and this new story ends on another cliffhanger? Like, would they be that rude? Would they be that cruel to us? It's possible, and by possible, I mean that would absolutely be something they would do. But would it really be Xenoblade X without some lingering questions? Would it really? That's kind of the charm of X at this point, that you just never really have the full picture, and when you think you do, you realize, oh, you were just completely wrong. Now, while I do think it is possible that this new story is Lao-focused, and even potentially with Lao as, like, the protagonist of this new story, they could also just have it be the main party, or have even more focus on Elma, and essentially have the new story be we are following in like the tracks of Lao. We get word that he's alive somehow, and we have to track him down, and we're essentially following in his footsteps, maybe even potentially meeting back up with him and gaining him as a party member yet again. Because let's be fair here, if it is the follow-up to Xenoblade X, there's like no shot, no possibility to actually advertise this that wouldn't massively spoil Xenoblade X. Right? Because, like, if you even show Elma, that's a spoiler, because of a new form she got at Chapter 12, unless you just have her go back to her original form. And if you talk about Lao's story at all, that, like, spoils the massive reveals that happen throughout Xenoblade X in regards to Lao's character. So, like, maybe that's the reason they haven't actually just showed us much of anything in regards to the new story, outside of that one snippet at the end of the trailer for Definitive Edition. Maybe that's the reasoning there, because I can understand that, because simply talking about, hey, we are doing a Definitive Edition for Xenoblade X, that would generate enough hype by itself, just because of the ratio of the number of Xenoblade fans they have cultivated at this point, and the number of people that have actually been able to play Xenoblade X because it was on the Wii U, which was not a popular console. So maybe that's their internal calculus. That makes sense to me. But yeah, I'm excited, dude. I really am. I've been wanting a follow-up to the events of Xenoblade X for the longest time, especially since I beat it on stream. I don't think they could properly wrap up every plot thread and give it the time and care and the attention that I would want them to in just a feature connected style story. But if it's heavily focused on one of these plot threads or serves as this connecting arc between X and a potential X2 at some point in the future, or if they just bring it into the canon and then continue with Xenoblade 4, for instance, as we've talked about before, I think it could really work. I need March to come around now. Like, can we just skip Christmas? Like, honestly, skip Christmas, get to Xenoblade X Definitive Edition, because that's going to be Christmas for me. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm going to call the video there for the day. Leave a comment down below with your own theory, your own perspective, what you want, what you think may happen in regards to this news story. I'd love to hear your thoughts, hear your theories, and to hear your perspectives. Stay safe. Have a great day. While you're down there, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and helps support future content. I greatly appreciate it. Stay safe. Have a great day, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye, everybody. Until we meet again!